Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live here on Giants.com. It's presented by Cadillac, the luxury vehicle of your New York Giants. I'm Paul Dottino at Giants WFAN. He is Jonathan Casillas, former Giants linebacker and multiple two-time Super Bowl champ, right? Two-time. You got 2 rings. 2 rings, 2 more than I got. And he is at J Casillas 52, correct? Mm-hmm. See, I remembered that. Not too bad, even though, again, another week of discombobulation because of the schedule. The Monday night game really messed stuff up. But we are here to take your phone calls at 201-939-4513. You can also hit us up on the hashtag Giants Chat if necessary. All right, so we're going to be here for the next hour. We know that the coordinators just got done talking, and Coach Dable in the next few minutes is going to give an injury update to the media. We hope to pass that along to you as soon as possible. But first things first, in talking to the coordinators, we learned a couple of things. Let's start with Wink Martindale, who said that clearly the defense is making progress, especially in their execution portion of it and on third downs. We saw Seattle go 3 for 12 on third down the other day, an offense that was limited to 281 yards and was only 2 of 4 in the red zone after San Francisco had gone 2 of 5 in the red zone the previous week. So the Giants obviously feel like the defense is moving in the right direction. However, as Wink said, and you can testify to this, no matter how much you coach it, no matter how much you try to make sure that you make every tackle, there will be missed tackles in every game. You're not going to come out of a game with no missed tackles. There are going to be some because the offense gets paid to play too.
Absolutely. And look, I think last week you saw a defense that looked like they responded to a poor performance against a very talented San Francisco 49ers offense, right? And the one play with Fant and a couple missed tackles there.
That's it.
But that's going to happen. Even the most talented defenses with the most talented players, statistically, that are the best, that one play will happen every now and again. But what we saw the San Fran game, that's what you saw for a defense that is not a top-tier defense, that's not running to the ball as they should. And you saw 16 missed tackles instead of just several missed tackles or a couple missed tackles.
Hence the improvement.
Right. So those plays happen because these players in the NFL are really good. But I think you saw a level of improvement, a level of intensity from the defense that maybe or maybe not wasn't present in the first 3 games prior to last week. And you have to build on that. And Paul, yesterday I was here. And I saw Nacho Munoz Roches in the cafeteria, and I spoke to him about the defense playing even better, because when you have a struggling offense and your defense is improving, yes, and you're expected to do so much, like the defense really hasn't played terrible besides the San Fran game, I feel like, in the missed tackles, but they don't have any turnovers on the year. And for a team that is trying to figure out, what their identity is on offense, the carousel on the offensive line because of the injuries that had happened, your best player on offense being out, your best 2 players basically on offense being out, and Andrew Thomas and Saquon Barkley, the defense has to play beyond what they're expected to play. When I was here in 2015 and 16, 15 offensively we were pretty good, and defensively I feel like we were bad. Now in 16, defensively we were really good, and offensively we had some struggles. And I would see some guys, and this is Eli a little later in his career, Eli would get sacked and he would lose the ball, or he would throw an interception. And instead of responding like, we took it upon ourselves to be like excited to take the field, and we stormed on the field with our hair on fire, with extra momentum, extra passion, because we have to match what this defense is doing against us. And if the Giants are okay with not winning games on defense or not outplaying another team's defense, then we're in a problem. But I don't think that's the case. I think they understand, and I've heard people say this, the Giants defense played well enough to win the game. I don't think that's true. And I think Wink Martindale thinks the same thing. If the other defense is creating 3 turnovers and you don't create any, how did your defense play well enough to win the game? And I was telling Nacho about, bro, you got to outplay, the other team's defense if their defense is playing lights out because our offense is struggling. And that mindset, I feel like, is embraced. I think Wink Martindale coaches that. And I think you're going to see a team that, first of all, there's no one that's going to give them a chance this weekend, right? That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one out there that's going to give them a chance.
Correct.
When your back is against the wall, which the Giants is right now, and there's been adversity, there's been controversy, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, how do you come out and fight? I think the first 6 quarters of the season, I'm talking about defense, there was maybe some question about the fight and the effort. But I think after that, I think they've continued to progress. They just haven't, I think, played well enough to alleviate some of the downfalls of the offense.
Well, in short, the defense can't just play well, they've got to play great.
Outstanding.
That's really what it comes down to,
Yes.
when the other side of the ball is not picking up its end of the bargain. And Wink Martindale actually referred to that by saying, look, we've got to play complete football, right? And if a particular unit isn't doing so well, the other unit's got to play so well that they can pick them up.
That's the complementary
And
football.
the Giants' defense, which finally played well the other night, well, they played well enough to be competitive.
Right.
They didn't play well enough to win a game in spite of the other troubles.
Right.
That's what you're talking about.
That's exactly what I was a little bit longer.
It's all right.
But that was it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's on the defense, and I think there's very high character guys on that defense.
Well,
that's going to go out there and understand where they're at right now and how they have to play.
I forget which one of the great all-time NFL coaches once said, we didn't play well enough on defense unless we shut the team out.
Was that some Parcells stuff right there?
I don't know I don't think it was a Parcells.
Yeah, you would know if it was Parcells.
I would know if it was Bill. I don't remember Bill saying that. But, and I understand that philosophy.
Yep.
Okay? So if you're the Giants and you're facing a Miami team that, and again, I want to give you a little more Wink here. Wink says Miami's offense, and I'm paraphrasing, is like a supersonic version of the old Rams' greatest show on turf.
Wow.
He says Tua's playing at a high level, knows where to go with the ball. He's accurate. He gets it out quick. He says their offense will put stress on the defense on all 3 downs. Getting them into third down is hard, and getting them off the field on third down is reason to celebrate.
Yep.
That's how much he values what Miami brings to the table. He also said something which I thought was funny, and I paraphrase this too. He said, going up against them, it's like racing a NASCAR against a Formula One car because they are just that fast. Somebody said to him, how you sleeping, or what do you think when you see a team like that put up 70 points? He goes, well, my wife called me the other night. Said, how you doing? He goes, I'm sleeping like a baby. I wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares and I cry. Go to the bathroom and then I go back to sleep when thinking about this Miami offense.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the complete wrap on what Wink said. And so I look to you, my man, and I ask you about Waddle and Hill. And obviously, Tua's doing a real good job with the ball. You got those 2 running backs who are just bursting holes through the middle of these defenses left and right. Where does it start for you if you're trying to attack this Miami offense?
I don't know. Like, seriously, I don't know. That would be like it's such a tall task to ask when you have so much speed, so much dynamic ability. And then a quarterback who's throwing over 70% completion percentage. You have a second-string running back that's averaging 11 yards per carry, Paul. Devon A-Chain is averaging 11 yards per carry in 3 games. He has almost 30 carries.
Don't forget his touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying. This guy is outstanding, and Raheem Mostert is no slouch. He had 4 touchdowns against the Denver Broncos. And Tyreek Hill, probably the best receiver in the league, if not the fastest receiver in the league. Then you got Waddle, who is contesting Hill for the fastest receiver on the team.
Yeah.
And look, this is a team that, I think is coached very well. I think they drafted well. I think they're bringing in free agents. They got Chubb on defense. And this team is very solid. They got exposed last week against a very talented Buffalo Bills team up in Buffalo, which the Giants are going to have to go up there next week to go ahead and play against those monsters up there. But I think right away, because every defensive philosophy I feel like starts with this, right? You got to establish your physicality and you have to stop the run. Because if the Miami Dolphins can run the football against the New York Giants, it's going to be a track meet. It's going to be a big track meet. And I'm talking about, right away. And yes, look, Hill's going to get his catches. Waddle might get his catches. But you can't allow A-Chain and Mostert to run all over the defense because that's just going to open up their entire offense. And you're going to see the maximum potential of the explosiveness of the Miami Dolphins.
And we don't want to leave out Berrios either.
Exactly. And I didn't even know Robert Chosen is Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was him until I watched the game. I was like, that's Robbie Anderson.
All right.
Who's a speeder.
So a chain ran for 200 yards against Denver and a couple of touchdowns against Buffalo, another 100-yard day. Mostert had the 3 touchdowns rushing against Denver, ran for over 100 yards against New England with a couple of more touchdowns. I mean, they've just been putting up pinball numbers. But here are a couple of things I want to mention to you. Defensively, they have had a great deal of trouble. They gave up 34 points to the Chargers opening day. They gave up 48 points to the Bills this past week. Now, those are 2 teams that have proven to be able to move the ball on offense, where the Giants so far this year have not. So they've got to turn that narrative around if they're going to do anything like what those 2 teams did. But the point being, clearly the defense of Miami, despite Vic Fangio coming over to be their coordinator this year, and they play a lot of 2-deep zone, by the way, that has been the Achilles if you want to point to a bruised area of this squad. Offensively, I do want to bring out one point. The 70 points against Denver highly warps their average per game. Yeah, they scored 36 against the Chargers, but 24 against the Pats and only 20 against the Bills. Well, let me ask you a question. I know the Bills played really, really well defensively last week, but the Giants played well defensively the other day too. I would maintain to you that defensively, the game they played the other night probably matches the kind of defensive game that the Patriots played against them in week 2 when they held them to 24 points.
Right.
If the Giant D plays like they're capable of, the mid-20s to high 20s is probably the number you're going to have to score to be competitive in this game. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But not only do they have to play well and limit them to points, they have to create turnovers, which we haven't seen quite
Now,
yet.
Tua has thrown picks in 3 of his first 4 games so far this year. So I don't know if that trend is going to continue or not. The Giants needed to because they're the only team in the NFL without any takeaways. So you're going to have to play as well as you did defensively against Seattle, plus get 2 turnovers?
Yes.
And does that give you a chance?
Yes. I mean, and you have to win the turnover battle. Not just
you
create.
can't give them away.
Right, just create 2 turnovers. You have to win the turnover battle.
Can't give them away.
Because if we have 2 and they have 3, we lost the turnover battle, and we're not going to win that game.
No.
You have to win the turnover battle against a team like this. And they used to say this all the time when I played for New Orleans, steal a possession. Whether it's a fake punt, a fake field goal, a block punt, something like that where you're taking a possession away from Tua.
Yeah.
And that's when the turnovers happen too. You take a possession away from Tua, you give it to Daniel Jones, possibly a short field, like what Carolina did last week.
Yes.
Seattle. What Seattle did last week.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. What Seattle did last week, they created short fields for their offense where they only had to go, 10 yards, 15 yards. They were in the red zone already. They were scoring.
They had one long scoring drive, and it was because Fant ran down the sideline for like 60 yards.
That's because of their defense, right? And
Correct.
That's what the defense for the New York Giants have to do moving forward. And that will, I think, spark the offense. And when you have defenses that's playing lights out, that is creating turnovers, giving your offense multiple chances over and over and over again, I think accountability starts to form on the offensive side.
Now, I'm going to tap into your memory banks for a minute here.
Oh my
Giants
gosh.
The Giants played 4 games. I want to say they probably had a chance at maybe 4 interceptions during the first month of the season. Didn't get any of them. Thibodeau could have had a pick 6 against Seattle and couldn't hold on to the hot potato. The opposition has fumbled twice. The Giants did not recover either one of those. So, yes, there is some luck involved in turnovers or takeaways. There is some.
Yes.
Okay? The Giants so far have been in position to get a few and didn't finish the play, did not complete the play. It's not unthinkable that they will be in position to get a couple this week.
Yes.
But they better get them.
But I think you've seen a constant improvement, especially from week 3 to week 4. And the reason why they missed so many tackles, like, not just, I think, effort, because everyone in the NFL knows how to tackle, even the offensive guys. They know how to tackle too. Mm-hmm. You see it from when teams catch interceptions. You see offensive guys making tackles.
Well,
right?
and some of those guys also play special, so they have to know it.
So there's not that they don't know how to tackle, right? It's a little bit of effort. It's a little bit of technique, but it's all about, I think, a collective effort. It's not about, like I play linebacker, right? If the players run away from me and I'm just holding my gap, that's not doing my job. That's not.
Right.
Doing your job is getting protecting your gap and your responsibility and shedding the block violently and getting to the ball carrier.
Yeah.
And I think in the first 3 weeks, it was just guys just technically doing their job. You're putting your defense in tough situations against these very talented, skilled players on offense. It's very difficult. And I was talking to Jesse Armstead yesterday. I said, these guys in the NFL, and me and Jesse played linebacker in the league for a while. Mm-hmm. They will make us miss consistently if we have one-on-one tackles with them.
Yeah.
Because they're that good. So you have to have population to the ball. That also creates takeaways and turnovers. Because now you got multiple people around when you get those tips and overthrows, which happens. And Tua, because he likes to throw the ball downfield,
he
likes to try to fit it into targets.
He does.
And actually the Giants, I think, have done a good job in batting balls at the line of scrimmage. And when you do that, there's linebackers around, there's safeties around, there's corners around, and that's where I think the opportunity lies. But you have to have guys violently ripping off of blocks when the play is away from them. They can't be getting held up on the backside. You have to get off that block, because who knows, when the running back's running away from you and he doesn't see you, that's the guy that creates a turnover. That's the guy that punches that ball out.
Yep.
The guy that he doesn't see, the guy that wasn't involved in the play, all of a sudden he's running his tail off and he hits him from the backside or pops that ball out. We literally see it every single week. We just haven't seen it from the New York Giants yet. But I think they're moving in that direction. But the next step for the defense is to create multiple turnovers in the game, not just one. And then why not start this weekend?
Yep. All right, quickly, before we get to your calls, 201-939-4513. Other news of the day, T-Mac, Thomas McGahee, the special teams coordinator, did confirm what Brian Dable had already told us he thought he was going to do. Eric Gray remains the kick returner. Said that he's made all the right decisions. Now, we know he had trouble with the muff on that punt the other day, but he said he's made all the right decisions in terms of how to field the ball, when to field the ball. He's done all of that correctly. And he said, look, we have confidence in him. He's going to be back there again this week.
He's a rookie.
All right. And
we talked about the defensive rookies the whole year, about we expect them to make plays. He's not absolved from that. He's still a rookie.
He did muff that ball.
He did. It didn't look good.
He did.
If he is making the right mistake and the right decisions, and not making mistakes, when you have a play like that, that happens. The lights are very bright on Monday night. They're very bright against a really good team in a tough situation. I understand that happened, but he can't do it again.
T-Mac
cannot do it again.
Did express what Dable had said the other day, that Dixon kicks a very difficult ball to catch. And he did say that for Gray, that was a bigger challenge than maybe they thought, and that's why then they changed out. And they went to Adoree Jackson, who, by the way, and I was a little bit critical of that after the game. I think you were too. He said basically the problem with that is that Dixon, you play him to punt the ball 50 to 55 yards because that's how good he is. Mm-hmm. He was inconsistent the other night. And on the balls, the punts short. That bounced was short. Yep. Bingo.
Yep.
He said, we were going hard after the kicker, and then the punt comes up short, and now Adoree has to make a decision. What am I going to do? Am I going to run up and make that catch knowing that I don't have much protection in front of me, which could be a dangerous play, or do you let it bounce and hope it doesn't bounce behind you?
Yeah.
He said it was a perfect storm, did McGahee, that both times the ball bounced behind Jackson and put the Giants in a worse spot. So he was not second-guessing Jackson's decision to let the ball drop. That's the explanation. We move on to the other item from Brian Dable today about the injuries. He said there is no further injury update based on what happened yesterday. Same guys who practiced on a limited basis will attempt to do so again today. Guys who did not will probably not. We'll learn more about that in the next couple of hours, but he did not say that there were any new updates regarding the injury report, which in all likely is not great news for Andrew Thomas, but it is better news for Saquon Barkley.
So what's the current status for both of those players right now?
Barkley limited, taking team reps yesterday.
I saw him yesterday. Yeah, look good.
Okay. And Thomas did not.
Okay. That's it.
Those are the two most important guys.
Definitely need those guys back sooner than later.
Think so. Definitely think so. 201-939-4513 is our phone number here, and we go to Maurice in New Jersey. You're first on the show. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? How we doing?
Thanks for calling.
Right,
how are you?
Maurice.
Hey, doing pretty good. I just want to be quick, man. Hey, I'm not going to say nothing that no one else has said. I think what we're watching is pretty awful, but I want to skip to this real quick. In terms of the offense, I'm a big Daniel Jones guy. Like, I know a lot of people give him a hard time, but I'm going to focus more on coaching. I think the coaching, Dable was Coach of the Year last year, and I think he deserved it. But at some point, watching what's taking place, like, why are we still continuing to put Daniel and the offense in general in situations to where it's not working? So I want to ask this question. In the NFL today, I've noticed that I think the NFL has evolved into a league to where coaches and coordinators want these kids to just run their system. Like, hey, you run this system, we'll put you in the right spot. Don't worry about it. To where I grew up watching more sophisticated offenses in terms of quarterbacks being smart, coming to the line, making adjustments, being the coach at that moment. Two questions here, and I'll get off the line. At what point is Daniel, and what average is Daniel getting the call? Like, as far as the play clock is concerned, is he getting the call quick enough to go to the line and observe situations? Because one more quick example, and I love this about Eli. I used to watch Eli with about 15 seconds come to the line, say, ha-ha, and then say, oh, no, go to the line, point somebody out, take a couple steps back.
Omaha.
Yeah, clap his hand, and then look. The camera, I have that good look at Eli, his eyes. You could just see it in his eyes. After he figured out what the defense is doing, then he makes the play, and then you hear Troy Aikman, well, Eli Manning come here. He points out the protection. He sees the blitz coming, and he goes right to Ballard or whatever the case may be. I need to see Daniel Jones get the play call early and get up there and be the $40 million guy we all expect him to be. And the coaching needs to really evaluate itself and put our players in better position. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. I think I probably should answer this because I learned something yesterday through the conversations that Jones and Dabes had with the media. It has been expressed to Jones that, oh, well, do you really have as much freedom to audible if you want to? And Daniel told the writers yesterday, absolutely I do. I have the ability to change the play. That's on me if I want to do it. They're not handcuffing me and forcing him to run the play. Now, you've been on multiple teams in the National Football League. Some teams will run that differently. They will tell the quarterback, no, you run what I tell you to. And that all goes back to Tom Landry's days with the Dallas Cowboys back in the 70s, when in those days, and you're right, and this is why I do want to get a little nostalgic with your question, back in the day, and we're talking back in the 70s, most quarterbacks called all their own plays. And Landry with the Cowboys was like, no, I'm calling all the plays. And he was like the guy who really made that a rigid scenario. And then sooner or later, as time went on, more and more coaches started calling the plays, and quarterbacks were not given 100% freedom. They were only given the opportunity to do maybe a check with me, right? Or opt into you're either getting this pass play or getting that run play, and that's it. Daniel claims that he's got the freedom, so that's part of your answer. Second part of your answer, you were talking about how much time does he have. Jonathan can also speak to this. The helmet clicks off midway through the play clock. So the play's got to be in by then because they click off the speaker helmet. And so that's it. The coaches can no longer talk to that quarterback. So they only have a certain number of seconds. It's just about half the play clock to get that play into the QB. Then they got to get up to the line, and now the quarterback has to do what he's got to do. But I defer to you about being on some other teams that may have handled the quarterback coaching scenario a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, I was blessed to be with three, I think, Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Breeze, Manning, and Mr. Tom Brady. And, of course, they have full autonomy over their offense. They could do and say whatever. But there's definitely an offensive coordinator that calls plays, right? And then the quarterback has to go and feel like, if this defense is set up to stop this offensive play we have, he has the ability to check out. I don't think that's different in any offense. I think every single quarterback has that ability. But what I think he's trying to say is get the play out a little bit quicker so Daniel Jones has a little bit more time to set himself up and the Giants in a better predicament, to have success for the offense, which is, okay, that does make sense. But I don't think it's always pre-snap. I think it's post-snap as well. I think we saw some last week where, the offensive line protected well, and then there was a free runner. And that happened at the snap because the Giants motioned in when Witherspoon had his first sack.
Oh, boy.
I think that was the second or third sack of the game.
The second one.
And there was a 3-by-1. There was a motion, and he kind of ran with the motion and blitzed. That's
Yes.
very difficult to see.
Yeah.
So like some plays like that are almost schematically designed to like, this is going to be a free play. Because the Giants haven't seen it yet. We haven't done it yet,
Right.
But then once it starts a little early with the sacks, and then it's almost like that first, that we talk about a snowball, right? It's like that first little, when you gather it and you throw it, and then it just starts unraveling. And I think you see Daniel Jones, I think last week it happened, you see him getting a little flustered, which will happen when you get hit from the backside and you don't see it. And it's not something that you've seen on film. It's not something that they've done. It's not something that you've seen somebody else do against you or happen to you in the past, right? So I think all of those things accumulate to what we saw last week. Not just the offensive line needing to play better, not just Daniel Jones needing to diagnose the play better, also diagnose what's happening as the play progresses on. And you're going to see that, and I think if the Giants can start early and get explosive early, get the ball down the field, get some points early, which we haven't seen, it's almost like, oh man, here we go again, and I've been there before. And there's no like explanation. Like that's why everybody sounds like they're trying to figure out what's going on. Because it's hard to explain what's going on when like nothing is going right. Like I've been in situations, and I spoke about McFadden early in the season about one of the games he had. I was a little critical on him, Paul, and I felt like he was at a place where he couldn't make a play.
Okay.
I've been there before. I've been there where I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with me. Like, did I get enough sleep? What did I eat today? Like, I just can't make a play. That's one person. There's 11 guys on the field at a time. That can be a collective thing that's happening. And then now you got guys trying to do more than what they're supposed to do, right? And then like even like the Dallas game, I saw early on some guys on the offensive line getting beat, right? So what they were trying to do is lock onto their guy the next time. You're not going to beat me. And then they ran a stunt right behind them. So it's like it's so many different things that happen. And that's what the beautiful thing is about football, because it's not black and white. Like
No.
he had a great comment, but like even with me, with my experience with the quarterbacks that I play with, even them, like Drew Brees made mistakes, Tom Brady made mistakes, but when you have a quarterback that has full autonomy, it's not just on him, it has to do with the offensive line. It has to do with the wide receivers pointing out a hot blitzer. It's a collective effort.
question.
So I'm not trying to put it all on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the quarterback, and he has to take responsibility because he's the quarterback, right? But it's a collective effort. It's coaching, It's the offensive line. It's the wide receivers. It's the tight ends. It's everything. And every single person, I feel like, have to take accountability and step forward to put together a better product. It ain't on Daniel Jones. Not all of it. It's on the whole entire, and it's on the defense too. Because like I said, losing the turnover battle 3-0, that's on the defense too. You got to match that defense that you're playing against. These are all team losses. You can't blame just the offense. You definitely can't blame one person in Daniel Jones.
I'm going to give you a number that troubles me an awful lot. According to my chart that I do after every game, Giants have given up 23 sacks so far this season, okay? Only 4 of them have been on third down. Third down is supposed to be a passing down.
Yep.
It's supposed to be the defense's pressure down. You would think that would have been a bigger number. But no, 19 of the 23 sacks the Giants have allowed this year came on first or second down. None of them have come on fourth, only 4 on third down. That to me is very problematic because what it's telling me is that these other teams are getting home earlier in the series.
Well, you know why? Because they don't believe that the Giants can and will run the football.
Bingo.
That's why.
That's
They're
where
sitting.
I was just going to go to ask you as a defensive player, when you know the other team is one-dimensional and can't run, you don't have to wait to third down to go get them.
Right. And they're putting in their pass rush combination package, DBs, because when you get to passing situations, and I know fans, you guys see this happening, but I don't know if you know exactly what's going on. When you get to passing situations, all of the run stoppers get out the game.
Sure.
They're out the game. They're pass rushers. They've been waiting. They've been salivating on the sideline. We stopped the run on first down. We stopped the run on second down. As you're a pass rusher, you're sitting there like, it's my time to go. It's my time to go.
That's it.
They're doing that on second down. They're doing that on first down because of the situation.
And that's the impact of not having Saquon Barkley in the game. And obviously to Andrew Thomas also because he's been a really terrific run blocker off that left side. But the bottom line is the Giants' running game has really virtually disappeared.
Yep.
And when you go into a game with a limited amount of plays that you can run, especially with a one-dimensional offense like you have, you're just letting that defense salivate right from the get-go.
Yep.
You're loving that. As a linebacker,
Absolutely.
you're loving that. As a defensive lineman, you're loving that. So the Giants already are hampered going in, and then they get behind.
Yep.
They haven't taken one offensive snap this year with the lead.
Hey.
I mean, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of this stuff is basically 2 + 2. You got this, you got this, you got that. What did you expect?
Yeah. Yep. But like that is not on the offense solely. It's not solely on the offense.
No, it's not.
I was telling Nacho, the reason why I told him because I like his energy. He made a play. He celebrated. You know why he did that? Because he cares. That's why he did that. People like, why are you celebrating? Because he cares and he made a play finally, right? That passion, you need to bring that, but you got to have everybody else involved. There's no problem. I feel like there's no problem if your defense is playing well and your offense is struggling, and maybe you might be down, maybe not by too much. You don't want to be celebrating when you're down by too much. But in a competitive game and you're making plays on defense.
Well, the idea is that you're sparking
You don't
something,
have
right?
to be sad because you're losing. You know, you can celebrate when you make a play. That fires other guys up.
That's the idea. You're trying to turn the tide.
Exactly. So that's the reason why I spoke to him. And I told him, I said, bro, and I straight up, I was like, I don't think y'all played well enough to win the game because the other defense created 3 turnovers and had 11 sacks. How did y'all play well enough to win the game when that other team, that they played well enough to win the game?
You didn't get the ball.
So you have to play not to just the offense that you're playing against, but your offense and the other team's defense. You got to match them.
I recall O.C. Umenyiora who always said to me, Paul, sacks are fine, but I'm not happy with a sack. I want a strip sack.
Ball out.
I want a strip sack. That's
out.
what I celebrate. Sacks are just sacks. The strip sack, that's what I want. That was always what O.C. thought about when he was getting into the backfield. He wanted the ball, not just the quarterback. 201-939-4513. Got to read a few spots here if I can only find them, Pearson. All right. The 5K run and walk is coming up. If I can only find that spot, let me see where it is. Where is it? Oh, I don't know. I'll find it soon.
Run or walk with Giants legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 8th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for the post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K.
Awesome job. Can we get a third chair in here for you? We got to get you on camera, too. Folks, you have no idea what Pearson looks like. and I think that's a damn shame because he's a really good dude, and you single ladies out there, you definitely want to know what Pearson looks like because he's a really cool dude in every way. Here's my problem. I got this October 8th, Sunday, October 8th, at the HK Kitchen and Draft House in the Bronx. You can go there and watch the Giants take on Miami. That's the spot that I got on my screen. It says, enjoy Modelo drink specials, meet a Giants legend, and enter a raffle to win game tickets and more. Visit giants.com/bar network to learn more. All right, let's go back to the phones here. If we get an opportunity to, we will talk to...
And I think Brandon London's going to be there and DJ Camilo's going to be there. That's definitely going to be a vibe. I'm not waking up that early, though. I'm not. I got to be here.
Okay. Cliff from New York, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you.
You too.
Yeah. Listen, I got a couple of questions about the offense, but first I want to rave a little bit about the defense. I'm still on fire about them doing so much better, especially the emergence of DJ Davidson. Because, when we got Nacho and the other guy,
Robinson,
they were described as like relieving, Leonard and
Dexter Lawrence.
All right. And now with DJ, that makes 5 guys, and Jordan Riley is sitting there on the practice squad. And I all of us, do we have a rotation now? I mean, it's looking pretty darn good. And I'm thinking if we're going to get turnovers, maybe it's going to be like Eric Howard taking the ball away from Roger Craig. You remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe something happens in the middle of the line. You're watching the game and the guy goes off tackle and there's a big scrum, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of squirming around and the announcer says the ball is out. Maybe we can get one of those. They're not as dramatic, but they're just as effective. And I'm just getting really excited about that because for the long-term project, of sustained success, we all know that the starting with the first level of the defense is a great place to really get it going. So I hope my enthusiasm there is warranted. But with the offense, I thought that the train wreck was caused when I was watching the game. I was thinking when I heard that John Michael Schmitz went out, I said, "Uh-oh," and because that was a big weakness that was addressed, and we said, "Oh, we got Bredesen. He can take the snap from center." And I just wonder how much of that calling out the blocking scheme part of the center's job was a big reason for the train wreck. And I felt a little bit better yesterday. Michael Eisen posted on the website with an interview with Bredesen, and he says he's all in on that part of the job, and he knows what to do. He knows how to fight. And I'm just, is there any chance that he can get better enough at that to be as almost as good as John Michael has been? Because when they asked Dable how John Michael was doing a couple of months ago, the first thing he said was he loved the way he was calling out, working with the other guys, calling out schemes and stuff.
Well, thanks very much for the phone call. Quickly, John Michael Schmitz has had such a short learning curve. He developed so quickly, so fast. From the first practice when he stepped on the field and did one-on-ones and got absolutely beaten up by Dexter Lawrence,
manhandled,
to all of a sudden, season starts and he's playing really well.
Yeah.
I give him a tremendous amount of credit. So I don't think the comparison or the adjustment is a knock on Bredesen as much as it is to praise John Michael Schmitz, who has just really been marvelous.
Yeah, and center is not an easy position to play. Offensive line in general is not easy. I think left tackle is probably the more difficult spot because you're going against the best athletes in the world. But the center is the key to communication from what you're seeing on defense to the quarterback and to the other offensive linemen. On top of blocking the biggest person on the football field in the defensive tackle,
the nose tackle,
right?
Yeah,
whatever
usually
you
is
wanna call
the beast.
The biggest, strongest person on the field after you snap the ball between your legs.
Yes.
It's a very difficult position to play.
Yes.
And for somebody to play it at the level that John Michael Schmitz played it at, the first few weeks of the season, you got to tip your hat to him. But he's out. You got to just step up, man. And every time an injury happens, because this is the NFL and they're happening, that's just what it is. You have to have guys that step up. I'm not making excuses for no one. I will not do that. Mm-hmm. The Giants have to step up. I don't care if Andrew Thomas is out. I don't care if Saquon is out. You have to step up. I mean, I do, but when you're out there, you can't be like, oh, I'm just going to play left tackle. This is not my normal position. No. You're out there, bro.
The schedule
you got to play at a good level.
knows no mercy.
Exactly.
Right? It's time to kick off. You got to play.
Exactly.
That's it.
It's an opportunity. Whenever somebody goes
Coach
down,
Coughlin loved that word. Remember?
I'm just saying,
he always loved that word.
It's not like, oh my gosh, Andrew Thomas is down. It's an opportunity to see who at left tackle, who can replace him. It's an opportunity, and the guys got to take it. I won't say they're not taking it seriously, but they have to step up and play better. They have to, because that's not an excuse. The reason why you have 10 offensive linemen, because you know someone is going to get hurt, because they don't substitute at O-line. They don't. They substitute along the defensive line all over the defense.
No, not usually.
They do not substitute on offensive line.
Not usually, no.
Reason why you have 10 linemen, because somebody's going to get hurt. Not probably. Somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And you're there just in case this guy gets hurt. So there's no excuses, fans. I'm not going to make excuse, fans. Don't you make excuse for them. They have to play better. Daniel Jones have to play better.
They know it.
And the defense got to play better. Yes, I know they're looking better every single week, but they got to take a step further until this offense gets back on track.
I don't care if it's 1 unit, 2 units, or all 3 units. Somebody needs to just go grab a game by the throat and say, we're taking this game.
Yes.
That's what needs to happen right now, because there's a lot of blood being poured on the floor.
Yes.
This team's got to stop the bleeding.
You could have one player with a monster game that can change everything.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet. There's nobody defensively, offensively, special teams that had a monster game yet.
Again, the old Dan Reeves phrase, you got to play above the X's and the O's. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got to do that to just change the entire course of the game. The Giants Huddle podcast, make sure you guys subscribe to that. It features long-form interviews. You know the deal. Media people on there, coaches, players on there. Remember, you can subscribe to your favorite podcast all through Giants.com/podcasts. Go to Apple Podcast if you like. Leave a positive review. It keeps the program alive. That's always a cool thing to do. Also, remember, you can buy Giants single-game tickets. Go to Giants.com/tickets for more information. I know we're already a third of the way or a quarter of the way into the season, but you can still get some tickets for the games later on during the campaign. Also, the Giants official connected TV streaming app is Giants TV. It brings original content, video content, game highlights on demand, and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Free TV, and the Giants mobile app. Pearson, I think I'm done with all the PSAs, correct? See, we got them all out of the way. I want to save the rest of the program for you folks at 201-939-4513 because we don't have a whole lot of time. Rick in Tampa, you're next on the program. Hello.
Okay, guys, listen, I love you guys. I call all the time, but this is just ridiculous. This sugarcoating this team. It's the same stuff we said last week, and it's getting frustrated. Yes, we had a tough schedule, but you know what? If we were competitive against San Francisco, against Dallas, against Seattle, and was close in the games, you know what? I could handle a little bit of everything that's going on, but we weren't. We were embarrassed every game. We were embarrassed, really, if you include the first half with Arizona. And the same things we're talking about now that you guys are talking about, we talked about last week. And I'm starting with Saquon Barkley right off the bat. The guy, when we wanted to sign him, he gets hurt every year, and here he is on the sidelines during the crucial part of our season, sitting on the sideline because he gets hurt. He gets hurt all the time. Tired of that. Turnovers. We talk about this every season. We can't get a friggin' turnover. Come on. We can't get an interception. We're trying to pick up the ball and run into the end zone instead of laying on the ball. Where's the coaches telling them, you know what? Fall on the ball. We need a turnover. That we haven't been able to do. The tackling. John was on WFAM during the week last week, and I asked him, I go, John, what makes you think in 1 week this pitiful display of tackling this team has shown all season long is going to change in 1 week. So, well, they can work on this, they can work on that. That was embarrassing, the sideline ran by ran. This is an embarrassment for the tackling for this team. It's terrible. And the pass rush, you think Daniel Jones has no time to throw downfield. No time. Nothing's going to change this week. From that, he can't get the ball downfield, so of course they're going to sit up on the close wide receivers. And we look terrible. Now, I'm so mad. The idea that they're going to keep this close, Paul, no way. If they get blown out 70 points like Denver did against Miami, and Miami's capable of doing that, I don't think we could keep up with them at all. Well, what will happen? Is it just going to be, okay, we know we're going to get beat by Miami, Buffalo. Let's look at the next 4 games after that and make our way through that. If they get blown out, which I think they are by 60, 70 points, because this is the way this team shows, they haven't shown me anything this season. So disappointed. What would happen?
Thanks for the call. I
hope you feel better, bro.
I
hear you, bro.
Because he's a regular.
I hear you.
He's a regular.
But I hear it in his
voice. Of course.
And I'm glad we were here for you to let that out.
Exactly.
It's good.
Look, there's only one thing you can do. The NFL schedule maker gives you 17 opportunities to go out and play. You have 2 choices after you lose a game. You can either wallow in it and continue to be upset, disgusted, and say, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do the other things, and we can't do anything right. And you know what? Then don't even show up and just cancel the rest of the season and say, okay, that's it. We're going to skip to the draft next year. You could do that if you want to. Or you could say, all right, there's a game on Sunday. Let's sit here and try to figure out what can be done to put the team in its best position to try to win the game. That's what you can try to do. And that's what the players and the coaches are trying to do. Because much like a cornerback in the NFL, when they say you got to forget about that last bad play, especially if you get burned for a touchdown, you have to have short-term memory because there's another play coming up. And you better not screw up that next play or it becomes a streak or like what the Giants have had, a bad month. Do you really want the next 4 games to go as poorly as the first 4 games did? Is that what you want? If you do, then you can have the mentality of, woe is me, this is terrible, nothing's going to get better, it's all miserable, and then you know what? You will go 1-3 in the next 4. Or maybe you'll go 0-4 in the next 4. That is not the mentality that you have to have. You have to have the mentality of, okay, 1-3 in the first 4, how about the next 4 we try to go 4-0? Or we try to go 3-1?
Yep.
That's what you got to do. That's the mentality you have to have.
100%. Yep. And you see, and when you watch film, like even though Miami scored 70 points 2 weeks ago, they don't look perfect on film. Like they make mistakes, bro. Tua makes mistakes.
We told you. We told you that.
They make mistakes. And Buffalo beat the brakes off them last week. Like just like they beat the brakes off Denver, Buffalo beat the brakes off Miami. There's opportunity there. It's not a 0% chance. It's probably what I showed you earlier, 10% chance that the Giants can win. I'll take that 10% chance.
You got to.
Because if they play outside of themselves, if they play like we expect them to play, like we thought they were going to play in the beginning of the season, they definitely give themselves the chance to win that game.
You know, the NFL doesn't sit there in the Park Avenue office and say, okay, every team that's under 500, if you guys don't want to play the rest of the season, we'll just cancel your games, and only the teams with a winning record can play out the schedule.
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
You have games to play.
Yep. And the thing is, there's a little bit of luck that goes into it, you know. And he spoke about Saquon. I don't think all my Giants fans don't think about it like that, because no one is hurting more than Saquon Barkley. You know, and I showed you the video what he did for that kid. He's such a tremendous man. He's such a good person. And I was hurt my entire career too. You know, I was able to play through a lot of things.
You did?
I finally kind of got healthy when I got to New York, and literally the first preseason game I played in, I had a great tackle on the screenplay. I jammed my neck. I missed the rest of the preseason. Ronnie Barnes had to take care of me. I was on a pitch count my entire 3 years here because I was always banged up. That sucks, guys. I retired because I was tired of being hurt.
I remember.
I was so tired of being hurt. I wasn't playing like myself. So please don't come at somebody for being hurt. They have no control over that. You know, I understand everybody coming at people for playing not well and giving up plays. Definitely get on those guys for that. All my fans, definitely. And we're going to hear it. You tell us about it. But don't get on guys for being hurt. Can't do nothing about that. Saquon's a guy that's definitely getting enough rest. He's definitely doing enough for his body outside of the treatment he's getting here. So please don't talk about guys being hurt. Yes, that's the reason why running backs are in this situation now with the money. Because Nick Chubb is the guy that got paid. He's a guy that, is probably the top running back year-to-year consistency because he's basically healthy relatively. He go ahead and blows his knee out. Like, bro, you can't talk about these guys because they get hurt. And that's the only point I wanted to make because I don't want people to look at people that hurt, especially Saquon Barkley, who is doing everything he can for this team because he got hurt. Like, what could he do? He can't do nothing about it. And nobody's hurting more than him because his whole future is at stake right now. His entire future. Not just this year, his entire future.
Heck, he wanted to get back and play against Seattle.
Because he's that type of guy. Don't question. I can vouch for that dude, for sure.
I know you can.
I can vouch for that dude. That dude is something else. He's special.
All right, Len from Maryland. You're next on BBKL. Hello.
What up, Len?
Hey, guys.
Hi, Len.
I'm dumbfounded.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm just dumbfounded by these first 4 games.
I get it.
A couple of things on progression by Davidson and Riley. Good job, Coach Patterson. It's called player development.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about sacks, Paulie, on first and second down. Let me throw out an idea. Maybe we're tipping our place. Thirdly,
you know what, Len? That's the first time anyone has said that over the first month of the season. I don't know that the Giants' offense is, quote, predictable, other than the fact that teams know they can't run the ball.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't. I'm not, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, they're short on bodies, and it has greatly inhibited the running game, which allows defenses to cheat.
Yeah.
We know that much.
Yeah.
But tipping the plays themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the case.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know either, but I'm dumbfounded, so I thought I'd throw that out.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, we're all trying to figure it out. Me and Paul watched the game together, and we're sitting there trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
Because this is not the team.
It's not easy.
This is not the team that we think they are. This is not the team we think they are. We watch them in practice. We understand, I think, the potential in every single player that the Giants have on the roster.
This guy has 2 Super Bowl rings. He's played on some super champions, and he's also played on some teams that did not do well at all. Yep. You know when you see it better than I even knew because you played it.
And I'm still I don't know what's going on because the roster it's not the greatest roster in the NFL.
It's a heck of a lot better than this.
It's definitely better than this. Possibly better than last year. You can throw that up because the skill players got a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
But you never know what happens in the season. And then when stuff starts happening, like every team I've ever played for, Len, every team I ever played for, when it came to September, when the first game started, I thought we're gonna have a great year this year because we look good. Yeah. Every team feels that way, and then all of a sudden, you go 2 months, you got 1 win. It's like, oh my gosh, maybe we're not as good as we thought.
You know what? If it was only about the talent on the roster, then we'd all plug it into Madden in August.
That's it.
And then let Madden play the games.
That's it. Let it simulate, and the best team will always win.
And then Madden could spit out the playoff teams, and we just go right to February or January and play the playoffs. But that's not the way it goes.
Let me add a couple of other things.
Go ahead, man.
I know you're running out of time here. With all due respect to Coach McGahee, Adore's got to catch those balls. That's why he was back there. That's why Gray wasn't back there. It's why Adore was back there. Make a play. If it's so tough to catch Dixon's punts, Adore, you're a veteran. Make a play above the X's and O's and catch the ball.
You just use your term.
Those 2 plays hurt us. Thank you, Coach McGahee, for the explanation, but catch the ball, Adore. All right, listen, I told Pearson I was going to be positive, and I think I have been so far. And let me continue, if I may. I want to talk about Evan Neal. New York is second chance city. We love you, Evan. We're giving you a second chance. Put that blue jersey on. Go for it, son. Make some plays. One other thing that I wanted to mention to you had to do with, or really asking you a question. Do you think by the time we got to the end of training camp, the coaches were starting to say, oh my goodness, with regard to the offensive line? You can't predict injuries, but were they sitting there saying, oh my goodness, if something happens to Andrew at left tackle, we're really in trouble? I know they carried Pert over Phillips, but Pert's now third string. I mean, even Azudu's starting in front of him. I wonder if they kind of saw this coming, and then the injuries magnified it. And let me finish with this. I'd like your comment on the first one after I get off the line, but and let me finish with this. And Jonathan, don't go bet the mortgage money on this. I have this theory. Good teams playing good, running on all cylinders, lasts for about 4 weeks. Teams playing badly and running on fewer cylinders, it lasts about 4 weeks. Things get better. Nature takes its course. The ball bounces different ways. Teams play a little better or play a little less. It doesn't mean you're going to win a game on Sunday in Miami. It doesn't mean you're going to, lose a game if you're a top flight team. It just means you don't hit on all cylinders. And I think we're going to start getting better. And we're going to start delivering.
Bill Polian always said that it takes 4 games at the start of the season to figure out what you are. Yeah. That's really where you're going. And I've also often believed that mantra. That's one of the things that I live by, too. You'd like to think that things get off to a good start, but you really won't know what your team is for 4 games in. You hope you know sooner. I was hoping the Giants would know by 3 games, but it didn't work out that way.
Okay, Paulie, let me answer that real quickly. I agree with Paulie and everything that you just said, but I hold that to be true not just for the first 4 games. It can happen any time during the season. You just start clicking, and you're on a roll, you get on a roll, but, it lasts only so long. That's why nobody goes 16-0 or 17-0.
How
or
true
nobody
is that?
nobody goes 0-17. Things begin to get a little better. I think we're going to start clicking. I think the offensive line is going to start playing a little better. I'm dumbfounded, guys. Let's go, Giants.
All right, Len. Be well. Jonathan, that brings to an end today's program. And all I can say is it's been quite a week here.
Yeah.
And I know there's one more show tomorrow. I believe I'm on with Lance tomorrow, or at least I may be. We'll have to see how we can square that thing away. But appreciate everybody for chiming in today. Jonathan, again, you can reach him on Twitter at jcasillas52. I am at GiantsWFAN. You could always catch the archive of this show if you like on Giants.com/podcast or the Giants mobile app or podcast platforms everywhere. We are here live Monday to Friday from 12:30 p.m. till 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time. 201-939-4513. Jot down the number, and we'll talk to you again next time.